WWGOA Live, here we are, starting at 7 o'clock Central Time. Actually on time tonight, can you believe it? No technical problems. Thank you, Sam and Anya and everybody who's behind the scenes setting this up. We have Krista on camera once again. We're going to launch right into it. I'm going to say one thing, and we got to say this a couple times, I think, Krista. There's a giveaway on the Woodworkers Guild Facebook page. We're giving away an Erlex sprayer. So if you want an opportunity to win that sprayer, go on to WWGOA on Facebook and look for that contest, and you can enter to win. Krista, Mike, you had a question that I can try and answer.
Yeah, I do. Our first question is, this is from Jim. I have searched for a training video on the nuances of sanding in preparation for finishing. A clear and thorough explanation of the advantages of sander types, grits, process before assembly, after assembly, complex shapes, what to do when cross-grain cannot be avoided, sanding for staining, sanding for finishing. Okay, a lot of sanding.
A lot of sanding. Well, so Jim, I think the overriding question here is, I think you're right saying this kind of gets skipped, these nuances. So if you look at WWGOA.com, we have a video on there that I'm going to say it's an hour, 2 hours long, and it is called Controlling Color by Sanding. And it's actually, I didn't teach it. I had a finishing expert come in, and honestly, as I worked with him, I was amazed at what difference it makes to do the right sanding and how that can affect the final color, how far you take your sanding. Do you stop at 150 or 220? How that affects what stain does to your material. So look for that video content on WWGOA.com, and that will answer all your abrasive questions.
Okay, and I just have a quick comment. Sorry, they're saying the sound's a little grainy, but you're understandable. So I don't know, maybe try something.
Why don't you go ahead and unplug the shotgun mic, which is the most forward plug. This one, I think.
This one.
Yep.
Okay.
Did the feed come right back?
Yep.
Okay. Try a different microphone here and see if that does anything for us. So hit that first one again, Jim. The answer we were given there was controlling color through sanding, or sanding to control color. Now I'm having a brain bubble, and I can't remember the exact name of the video. But the exact topic you're talking about is on WWGOA.com.
And isn't it true, George, that he could go to WWGOA.com and in the search bar, search for staining or sanding?
If you search keywords, sanding and control, that's going to hit that title that I keep messing up, and it'll get you to that video.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So will you guys please weigh in if the sound is better or not, because we don't know on our end. So anyways, now next question is from Andy. He's making a jewelry box from tiger maple. He's been using rub-on poly. He would like to use something different that brings out the beauty of the tiger maple. Do you have any suggestions?
I do. So unfortunately, shop assistant George or shop assistant Jane, neither of them are here tonight. So I'm just going to talk through this one. Let me just talk through this one. I think we'll be okay. Paul Mayer did an article in which it's called the curvy table, and the top of that table is very highly figured maple, and he used dye in order to really bring that figure out. So if you go on WWGOA.com, and it's either a curvy table or a curved length table, Paul might be watching, and he could weigh in the comments on the exact title. But he provides a recipe there that he found to really bring that figure out, and it's an aniline dye mix. I'm not sure if he put it in top coat or he applied it with denatured alcohol or something prior to the top coat, but he can tell you. Information is in the article.
All right. First, we have comments that the sound is better.
Good.
Still a little grainy, but better. So that's good. And then I just want to remind everybody that I'm here with George Vondriska, managing editor of WWGOA. Go out to a Facebook page, like us, follow us on Twitter, check out WWGOA, sign up for the newsletter if you guys aren't already signed up. Okay. Next question comes from David. If the veneer and an antique veranda hutch is coming up or bubbling from the counter, so I'm assuming the surface. Yeah. How would you repair it to stay down on the counter flat the way it's supposed to be?
Yes. So I'm very willing to say what I don't know, and this is a case where I don't know. I use veneer, but I'm not much of a veneer guy, and I'm even less of a furniture repair guy. So I'm not sure if it's a repair thing or if it's a remove it and replace the veneer. So I got to say, David McKittrick, one of our contributing editors, would be a much better responder for this, but he ain't here. So I'm sorry, I just don't know. But if other viewers have an answer for, I'm sorry, I forgot the name already, David?
Yeah.
Oh, that's ironic. If other viewers have an answer to this veneer question for David, let her know, because we'll take your input.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so we have a question here from Ronald. While sanding my project, how do I protect the part underneath to not get little dents here and there? I clean my table best I can, but there's always small dents in it.
Great question. So here's what Ronald's talking about. We're going to sand this chunk of wood, and my workbench is pretty clean typically, but maybe there's a glue gap, maybe there's something. And you're right, Ron, no matter how meticulous I am about cleaning, one of the things that happens when we're sanding is you're probably putting some down pressure on this. So let me give you a couple of solutions. One would be at home centers or carpet stores, you can buy carpet remnants, and you can lay those on your table, and they'll protect whatever you're laying on there. Or you grab a chunk of carpet, Krista, that turn left. Your other left. There you go. All the way by the big cabinet full of holes. Way over here. Sorry. You're leaning up against that cabinet. And I have carpet remnant in my shop, and primarily, in my case, I'm using this not so much for sanding surface or work surface that you're talking about, but when I get to a point where a project has finish on it, then I'm probably laying it on a carpet remnant to protect it. Another alternative, and then come right back. Give you two more choices. This is called a router pad or sanding pad. You can get these at Woodworking specialty stores, and it's pretty cool. It's a mat, and it's a little bit sticky. So if I have a piece of material on here, like this piece of poplar, and one thing that's cool is if I want to sand this, the wood is staying put, because the mat is just sticky enough to grab it. If I want to route around the perimeter, it'll stay put. And as long as I keep this relatively clean, it's protected. I'm not going to get those dings in the back. Another alternative would be a Rockler product, which are called bench cookies. These are bench cookies, look like little hockey pucks. They've also got sticky stuff on them. So they'll elevate my work. One of the benefits to that is if I'm using a router bit whose length is such that it's going to come down the edge like this, and it would hit the mat I just had here. These are getting me above the table, and they still got that sticky aspect, and they're protecting me from anything like that staple right there. It's laying on my workbench that I'm not aware of. So, carpet remnant, router pad, bench cookies. Bench cookies you can get from Rockler, and I don't think you can get them anyplace else. Router pad you can buy all over the place. Carpet remnant you can get it from home centers and carpet stores.
All right, great. Well, George, it looks like we actually have a couple questions in the same vein. So, yeah, right. So Moses is asking this, Greg is asking this, a couple of other people have asked. It has to do with restoring tool surfaces to like new condition. Greg would like to know, he's tried steel wool, WD-40, other products, he can't get the stain out. And it looks like Moses is maybe wanting to know how you feel about vinegar for rust removal.
Wow. I've never used vinegar for rust removal. And I'm wondering, of course, vinegar is acidic. Do we have any kind of a reactivity issue with the vinegar itself, leaving a stain on cast iron? I would stay away from that. I've never done it, but my gut is telling me it's not a good idea. Back to revisit the like new condition thing. Can I make you roll over to the table side first?
Yes.
We'll see if we can, if you flip down a little bit. I take pretty darn good care of my stuff, but every once in a while, I've got a mark here, I don't remember anymore how it happened, but it's a pretty significant stain in the cast iron. This saw table saw, when it came in, it was not quite a mirror, but it was pretty darn shiny. I cleaned stains off of it. I treat it with Glide Coat on a very regular basis. You've probably seen me do that on 1,000 videos. We've done it on live a couple times. But to really get this back to where it came from, SawStop, it would take some abrasive, like, I don't know, 800 grit sandpaper and a random orbit sander. I don't want to sand this cast iron top because I know SawStop machines it to be nice and flat. So that like showroom condition, to really get this back to that spot, I just don't want to take the chance that with me sanding with a random orbit, I'm going to take that top out of flat. So I live with the stain, a little bit of patina in the cast iron, and I just figure that's a hard-working piece of equipment, and it's kind of got the marks to show it. Wish they were not there sometimes, but just got to live with it.
Okay, and I'm going to burst your bubble. We're still getting some sound issues, so sorry guys, I don't really know what's going on.
Is it, well, how could it be that microphone when we're not connected to that?
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe it's...
Is it, so is the sound, give me some characteristics. Is it inconsistent? Is it too soft? Is it...
I think it's grainy.
Grainy. So that would be interesting. Is the image okay? But the audio is bad?
The image looks okay, at least on my end.
Yeah, well, we need to know once it goes up through the router and through the worldwide interwebs and comes down.
It's probably the internet.
Yeah, I checked our upload speed right before we started, and it was as good as ever. So let's see if they tell us more specifically what symptoms we're talking about now.
Okay.
I've got other microphones we could try if we want to go there.
Okay. I'm just letting you know. So the audience knows we are aware of it. Okay, so our next question is from Brian. Is it okay to mix softwoods with hardwoods when gluing for small gift boxes?
Here's the way to think about this. Don't worry so much about softwood, hardwood, but worry about characteristics. When I put a project together, I really want every piece in that project to have similar working characteristics. So let's say you specifically want to get a contrast, hard or dark wood, light wood. So a mix of walnut and pine wouldn't be a great choice because physically a walnut is so much harder than the softwood. Yes, there's hardwood, softwood going there, but let's take a different example. Walnut and southern yellow pine would go together okay. Walnut's a hardwood, southern yellow pine is a softwood, but southern yellow pine is very hard. Its working characteristics are pretty darn similar to walnut, so that wouldn't be a bad mix. So if hardwood, softwood, maple pine, walnut pine, cherry pine, I would not do that.
All right, great, thank you. And we have a little more clarity on the sound.
Okay.
They say,
I'll hardwire in if we want to try it.
They say it's digitalized and garbled. Some viewers are recommending maybe an Ethernet cable right into the router to make it a little faster.
Well, that's a great idea. Let me try something on the sound. You entertain us folks at home for just a second.
Oh, great. Well, hey, this is George Vondriska here, being handy, from WWGOA, managing editor. I'm going to do the whole spiel again. Check out, I will, Facebook, Twitter, WWGOA. Also, we are doing a giveaway for something.
An Erlex sprayer.
For an Erlex sprayer. And what do they have to do, George?
You need to go on WWGOA's Facebook page.
So you go to WWGOA's Facebook page.
Find your contest.
Find the contest.
And then it's going to be self-explanatory once they get that far.
Okay.
And then let's try, Krista. This will be pretty instantaneous. They can tell us.
All right, you guys get ready to tell us on the sound, good or bad.
It's going to just go away for a second. Now I can see on the screen I've got sound. So I'm hardwired in with a lavalier mic. So we'll have to figure out a way to staple this to my chest possibly. But yeah, he'd probably be happy to do it for me. But give me some idea if this is better or worser, and then we'll see if I need to continue. The reason I don't do this right from the get-go is me being hardwired to the camera just limits my mobility. So let's see what kind of response we get, and I'll stick with it if I need.
And we'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
And then people can let us know how it's going, all right? So we've got a question here from John. He recently built a cedar keepsake box for his daughter, but he wants to add feet to it. He can't really find, any ideas for some simple feet. Do you have any resources for him? Yep.
There's a company, you can find them online. Osborne Wood Products, I believe, is the full name of the company. I don't know what their web address is, but they've got corbels, they've got bracket feet, they've got pedestals, they've got a billion different furniture, woodworking related things. You can find them in different species, different shapes. So Osborne Wood Products, lots of stuff available. Check them out.
All right, perfect. My next question here is from another John. What's the correct way to route a 1/4-inch slot through 3/4-inch plywood?
So we can do woodworking live. Are we getting any feedback on the feedback? Are we getting
a little better, but not a lot? So I think it is actually the internet.
Okay. Well, I would like to take this microphone off if I can, but not at the compromise of sound. So let's keep the mic on through the router, and then after that, you guys decide if I can not be tethered in. That makes my life easier. So, Krista, I'm going to ask you to follow me to the router table.
Yeah. Do we have an Ethernet cable I can hook up?
I have nothing long enough. I mean, the problem with the Ethernet cable is we're trying to be mobile here and show you a lot of stuff. So I would need an Ethernet cable that's probably about 40 feet long, which I don't have. So the mechanics here, the camera feeds into the laptop is wirelessly connected, and so we're all rolling around on a tripod. Here's what we got going. So the question is routing a 1/4-inch slot into 3/4-inch plywood. Couple things need to happen here. Let me see how long my tail is. Okay. I've got a 1/4-inch bit in the router table, so I think at this point, Krista, if you could come in to here and just show them like the bit and the fence and stuff, and you can probably just stay there for the rest of this spiel. 1/4-inch cutter in the router table because we want to do a 1/4-inch slot, and it's there. It's just it's a little dark, but it's there. There you go. Perfect. Router's unplugged, so I can be doing this. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a different fence on my router table fence, and this will make more sense in just a second. I'm just going to hold that in place with double-faced tape. So I'm, with my fingernail-less fingers, I'm trying to get the tape to open up for me. Or use a pocket knife. There we go. All right. I'm going to stick that on there. What's going to happen here, here's the overview. Maybe zoom out just a little bit, Kristen. Perfect. Come back. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. We're going to plunge onto that cutter. We're going to route a slot. We're going to lift off of the cutter. And of course, once we do or want to do this, we can't tell where the router bit is anymore. So the way I'm going to do this is, again, router unplugged. I'm turning this by hand so the flute of the router bit is pointing toward the in-feed side. I'm going to kiss it with my piece of plywood, and then I'm going to transfer this. I'm transferring the location of the flute of the bit to the fence. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Flute of the bit is pointed that way. Oops, lock my fence down would be smart. All right, flute of the fence is, or flute of the bit is that way. Mark the bit location. Then I'm going to square that up the fence so I can see those lines better. Now, if you can give us a zoom that kind of captures, Krista, the router bit where my pencil is, and the 2 lines on the fence. Oh, nice. And then go to your right, so swing to your right just a little. Oh, I'm sorry, your left. I'm going the wrong way. I'm reversed image here in the camera. These 2 lines show us the exact position of the router bit. So then on my board, all I need to know is where I want the slot to start and stop. And that's what, where are we? That's what these 2 lines are going to tell me. So now, Krista, zoom out just a little bit and we're going to make noise.
They said you can take the wireless mic off. It's not that.
Not markedly better.
They can't hear me.
Okay.
So.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. I'm disconnecting the lavalier and then we'll make this good. Yeah, I guess that's the other reason we didn't go with the lavalier is that Krista's too far from the mic. So. Okay. So here's where we're at. 2 lines on the fence indicating the router bit. That's my start and stop position. 2 lines on the board indicating the length of the slot. I'm going to put line number 1 on the outfeed side line, plunge, move forward until line number 2 is even with the infeed side. Nice. And then we'll be done. Good zoom. I got to plug in here. Did I put the slot in here? Did I put the slot we just cut in your frame? Where are we? There we go. All right. Line to line. That gives us that 1/4 inch slot. Doing that here with plunge cut on the router table is a real easy way to do it. Similarly, you could do it with a handheld plunge router with a fence on the plunge router.
Awesome. Thank you very much, George. All right, and we have a lot of questions. I'm going to head back that way if I can.
I'll follow you.
We have a lot of questions from viewers that, novice woodworkers, and they are really interested in what is the number one tool they should buy. I know we've had this question in the past, and it's hard because it kind of depends on what you're doing, but thanks. That's the question.
All right. Buying advice for new woodworkers.
Right.
The first thing you gotta get is a credit card with a really high limit, and then you can get whatever you want. I'll give you a couple pieces of advice here. One, we just posted a video within the last month for sure. I think more like within the last week. That's something like George's top 5 stationary tools, and that's keyed in on just stationary tools. But that's a video, and you can look for that on WWGOA, and that'll give you some buying advice. One of our authors, Paul Mayer, is, as we speak, he just submitted a story, which is your first $1,000 worth of tools. And that's not limited to stationary tools. That's his buying advice in general to spend $1,000. That article will be up online. Give us about a month to get that edited, and then that'll be ready. Most woodworkers will not argue with me if I say you really got to start with the table saw. Today, track saws have come a long way. So if you're in a limited space area, a track saw might be a better alternative for you than a table saw. But table saw is right at the top of the list. Handheld router is right at the top of the list. For me, I use a router table a lot of versatility there. So a router table would be at the top of the list. I love the versatility that comes from a bandsaw and all the different things it can do. So that's 4 for me there. Someone on the George's 5 stationary tools wisely suggested dust collection of some kind, and I didn't include that in the 5 tools, but it's a great idea because if you're woodworking, you're going to make dust. So a shop vacuum, a dust collector, some way to grab that stuff. So watch the videos up already. You can look at that. Watch for the article. Table saw router table, bandsaw, hand-molded sander, that's a pretty good starting point.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, George. All right, so now we have a question from Tony. He would like to know if there's an app or a program that lets you draw a simple drawing, front view, side view, and top view.
Yes. Are we done? Oh, we should tell them what it is.
Yeah.
I see. You want the whole answer. I get it. Yeah, look online for SketchUp. And SketchUp is free drawing software, incredibly powerful. You will not believe when you use it that it's free. We're right in the middle of getting a SketchUp online class ready. I'm going to say in the next 2 weeks or so that class is going to be available. And David Radke is the instructor. He's been using SketchUp since forever. A lot of the drawings you see on WWGOA.com, he has done using SketchUp, so he really knows his way inside and out. So SketchUp.com is the web address. SketchUp Make, M-A-K-E, is the form that you want. You can download it for free, Mac or PC. And then within the next couple of weeks on WWGOA.com, look for that SketchUp class to be ready. Krista's like very excited because she just got noticed that she won the Powerball.
Yes, I didn't know. There's some great questions that I can go collect stuff for. So
okay.
Yeah, I can get excited.
And we have to ask for people to post where they're watching from. Krista does this, but I think it's very cool to hear where people are watching live from.
Okay. Our next question comes from Katie. When using a random orbit sander, why do you get those squiggly lines?
Okay. Well, there could be a couple reasons. One, when you have a real coarse abrasive in there, it's going to leave lines. So the idea with sanding is, or with machining in general, is each operation is removing the marks left by the previous operation. So maybe my last thing on the surface of that wood was a planer. Then I'm going to go to a sander with relatively coarse paper, start taking out the planer marks, go to a finer paper, go to 100 grit to take out the swirly marks left by the 80. Go to 120 to take out the marks left by the 100. There are always swirl marks, but when you get to 180 or 220, they're so tiny that you don't notice. The human eye doesn't know the swirl marks are there anymore. If you're doing what I'm telling you, and you're still getting swirl marks, then it could be a random orbit sander. So there's a smoothness of operation there's a smoothness of operation that comes from higher quality sanders. There are also different orbit sizes. If it's a European company like Festool, they'll express that as 3 millimeter orbits or 5 millimeter orbits. 3 millimeters is about 1/8 of an inch, 5 millimeters is about 3/16. The bigger the orbit, the faster it'll sand, but more aggressive sanding means you might not be getting quite as smooth a finish.
Thank you very much, George. So we actually have a couple questions coming in tonight about your safety gear and stuff like that. So Dennis wants to know about the leather apron that you wear.
My apron?
And Paul wants to know where you find your awesome lightweight ear protection. He's never seen anything so lightweight before.
Okay. Well, I think Dennis must be this apron. Isn't this nice?
Mm-hmm.
My apprentice apron. I don't know if they're getting all of the
Let me
doodads.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that nice? The pink is a really nice accent. This is actually a Krista's apron. I think Dennis means throw me the one you went and got very nicely. I think Dennis means this apron. And a lot of questions about this. I really like this apron. Peel Leather, P-I-E-L. And this is called their extra long apron. So if I come back here, so this comes out, it's about mid-thigh on me, and they make a shorter version of this. I've had this for a number of years. I really like it a lot. You can find it online, P-I-E-L, Peel Leather, and just Peel extra long shop apron. Hearing protection, think we're talking about these.
Yep.
I just had them on at the router table. What? I think I'm so funny. These are made by SenseGuard, SENSGARD. You can actually get these in the WWGOA store. So WWGOA.com, there's all the menus across the top, all the drop downs, one of which is shop. When you get there, inside the drop down, one of the choices is tools and accessories, and these are there. I've been kind of like the apron. I've been wearing these for a really long time, very lightweight.
All right, great. Just a reminder for anyone who's just joined us, I'm here with George Vondriska, the managing editor of WWGOA, Woodworkers Guild of America. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, go out to WWGOA.com, sign up for the newsletter, and on our Facebook page, sign up for the drawing to win
An Erlex sprayer.
a sprayer. Awesome, great, thank you.
I'm going
What?
to say it's HVLP, I think.
Okay.
HVLP sprayer.
All right, so George,
It's a sprayer for sure. I'll be with the HVLP.
we have a number of questions, very similar questions here, about individuals who have been making chests or some sort of project, and the wood is warping on them, even though they flip the grain in every other board, and the wood is dried at 6%. What are they doing wrong?
So I'm glad to hear, it's dried to 6%, because that means you're putting a moisture meter on it, which is good. I'm going to couple things. One is, when you plane material, so if we back up the truck a couple steps to where you were getting ready to make the top, anytime you're going to run material through a planer or a sander, you want to take the same amount of wood off both faces. So even though I have, let's say this starts at 1 inch, I get one face smooth, flip it over. You don't want to take a 1/16 off one face to get it smooth and a 3/16 off the other to get down to 3/4 of an inch. You want a plain flip, plain flip, plain flip. That way the wood stays at a better equilibrium level. Then when you get to the point where something is all glued up, anytime you have a large glue up, and I'll say with woodworking in general, you always want to do the same thing with finish to both sides of the material. So I've seen this a lot, especially with something like a table, where people will finish the top, because that's where they see that it needs protection. They won't bother ever finishing the bottom. And when you do that, when you finish only one surface, it's another way that you can fairly commonly get warping. So treat both faces the same when you're planing, and then treat both faces the same when you're finishing, and that'll help a lot to stabilize your material.
Okay, thanks very much, George. And I mentioned this last time, and I'll mention it again. We get a lot of questions in, so we try to get to as many as we can. And some of them we've answered before, and these are archived on YouTube, so you can go there too.
They're archived in WWGOA.
Oh, WWGOA, excuse me. So you can go there and watch these as well. So on that vein, I'm going to ask this question because a lot of people are asking it, although I know that we've answered it or something similar to it in the past. Okay, so a lot of people are asking, what are some good recommendations for finishing bowls, and then also food safe. So we've got a couple of people wanting to know what's a good finish for bowl, and then some people wanting to know what is a food safe finish.
Okay. Let's do food safe first. There are bowl. If you want to go to the finish again, Krista, and you might need to stand on that stool. Next one over, the black one. And you might need to stand on that stool, and on the top shelf, I believe there's a bottle that says churning finish. It's handwritten, like a. Oh, okay. There are a lot of commercial products out there. Behlen's, Behlens, Behlen's bowl turning finish. That can go on a bowl, and it is non-toxic in so much time. A little bit of time has to elapse, but that's a non-toxic product. Mineral oil is a non-toxic product. That's what I commonly use on cutting boards. You don't want to use any kind of vegetable oil on a bowl or a cutting board because over time, even on the material, the vegetable oil can go rancid. On a lot of turnings, I use this turner's finish that I make. So we are 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 shellac, 1/3 linseed oil, 1/3 mineral spirits. And then when Krista carried it over here, she was careful. And if you can see, it separates when it sits. And that's fine. If you just stay right there. And then I'm going to do this. And that'll bring it all back together. And then we're ready to put it on the bowl. It's a nice shop-made finish for turning bowls and spindles. It doesn't provide this super high gloss that something like a friction polish or the Valen's turner's finish will. But it's something that it's very easy to make up in the shop, and you don't have to special order product. So a lot of my turnings are finished with that.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, George.
It's surviving the sound.
Yeah, it seems to be getting better, I think, as the internet speeds kind of fluctuate.
Okay. And I'm going to go back to what Chris was talking about earlier, because one of the things, we see a lot of questions, and people will maybe, now that a number of lives have gone by, say, why are you bothering to ask for questions you didn't answer by? Well, before tonight even started at 7 o'clock, we had about 140 questions that were already queued up. And I try to go really fast, and Krista rides herd on me to make sure I don't talk too much, which I'm prone to doing. But as fast as I go, we can't answer even those 140 questions in 60 minutes. And that doesn't include the additional ones that are rolling in now that we're live. So we try to get as many as we can and get them answered, but it's physically impossible to answer them all. So we're doing the best we can. Okay, good question.
Yeah, all right. So we have a wood glue question. We always have wood glue questions.
They're always sticky.
So Ed understands the difference of wood glue and he uses Type Bond. But he wants to know, I have a question, it just disappeared. Hang on here. Sorry, guys. So he wants to know when should he use other glue on products for wood? He sees a lot of videos where they use other adhesives for different reasons, but they don't really explain why they're using them. So I think he's asking, when should he use something besides Type Bond, and why?
Okay. So let's dial down the Type Bond a little tighter. Type Bond Original, Type Bond 2, Type Bond 3, which Chris is going to get. Type Bond Original, very good furniture, cabinet making wood. Type Bond 2, water resistant. Type Bond 3, waterproof. So Type Bond 2, thank you. If I'm building an Adirondack chair, and yes, it's going to be outside, but it's not going to be soaking wet, it's going to get moist, Type Bond 2 would be fine. If I'm doing a planter, so that's going to have dirt in it, the dirt's going to be wet all the time, Type Bond 3, waterproof, is a better choice. Type Bond 3 is what I always use on cutting boards as well. None of those glues are gap filling. So when we get to what else should I use, sometimes you'll see woodworkers like myself go to epoxy, two-part epoxy. One, it's gap filling. Two, it'll bond dissimilar materials. I do a fair bit of knife making. So if I'm going to join an antler handle to a steel tang on a knife, epoxy is a great choice for that. Cyanoacrylate glue, which we just call CA, instant bond, not a lot of strength compared to these glues, but we have that benefit of grabbing very, very fast. CA is a glue that I use quite often to do repairs when I'm working on bowls on the lathe, because it dries quickly and it's also gap filling. Hot melt glue I use in the shop is a temporary way to hold stuff. For instance, on a benchtop CNC table, I use hot melt glue to hold the board in place. I don't have to use screws or clamps. Do the cutting, break the hot melt glue when it's done, and we covered a lot of glue. You got another one?
Oh, yeah, I have another one. Brad would like to know, well, actually, Brad has a couple things to say. He says, great job, George.
Thank you.
He loves all your videos, and it's a great resource. Keep up the good work. Okay, so his question is this. When is it a good idea, okay, to spend more money on a quality tool versus saving a few dollars on a dependable brand with fewer features? In the perfect world, you would buy the best, but sometimes a more economical tool that will be used less frequently, it could be the best value.
Yeah, it's hard. Tom Casper, who writes for us and has done video work for us, I've heard him say, save your pennies, buy the best you can, and only cry once. So the point of that statement being, you're going to cry once when you open your checkbook and write the check, but you're going to be very happy with that tool for the rest of your life. But again, none of us has an unlimited budget. You have to make compromises. So I'm going to say, on a kind of a first-tier tool that you're going to use a lot, then I would go to every length I could to buy the best possible tool I could in that category to make sure that you get the most out of it you can. One of the things I've seen sometimes on lower-end tools, you go through the process of setting them up, they don't hold their settings very well, it can be very frustrating to use it because it doesn't perform the way you expect it to. When you get down to a tool in your shop that's a second-tier, third-tier tool, you're not going to use it all the time, you're not going to rely on it as heavily. That's a place to then maybe save some money, get something that's a little bit less feature-rich because you're not relying on it as heavily. But it kind of goes back to the sander question that Katie, right? Going back to the sander question Katie asked, if you save a lot of money and you get a $30 random work sander, then you might not be able to effectively stain and finish your wood because the sander is leaving 80 marks in your material. I'm just saying as an example, I'm not picking particularly on $30 standards.
Okay, good. So we have a question from Rob. He has a number of pallets that he wants to plane. Would his Delta joiner be able to handle this, or does he actually need a planer? The board width is between 4 to 6 inches.
Okay, so I'm going to have you turn toward the jointer. This is a great question. It applies to the board. Come on. All right. So, well, first, Rob, I'm going to congratulate you on getting the pallets to come apart to a point where you could actually do something with them. We did some work for a video clip here in the shop not too long ago for Sam and Stacy, working through some different techniques to get pallets apart. Good luck to you. Let's talk about planer, jointer, and what's going on here. So, Krista, if you could just flip down a little bit and get a look at the jointer here, which is currently unplugged. So, I'm over here.
I know, I'm getting
Okay.
the whole thing.
I got you. Give it a first right.
Yeah.
With the jointer, one of the things we can do is face joint, and I think this is what Rob is asking about. So with the face joint, what would happen is that I'm feeding my material across this cutter at it, and what jointers do is they make wood smooth and straight. When that face comes out the other side, after a couple of passes, it's going to be smooth and flat, smooth and straight. Now, comparatively to a planer, where I'm going to run into trouble here is, if I flip this board over and I do the same thing to the other face, I can get the second face of this board smooth and straight. But what I don't know is, class, what don't I know? Hopefully some of you are answering this at home. I don't know if the two faces are parallel to each other. And that's a problem then when we start doing woodworking with this. So when we make a cut and flip and make a cut, there's nothing to hold this board and register and reference to make sure that the two faces come out parallel. That's what the planer behind us here is going to do. In the perfect world, part of the reason these machines are close together is we face joint on the jointer. That face goes down when we go to the planer. The planer is then cutting wood off the top, which is still rough sawn, and then that's going to make the two faces parallel. And the other benefit to the planer is it'll make everything uniform in width. Thickness. So again, here at the jointer, if I face joint this board, and then face joint board number 2, number 3, number 4, I don't know if they're all going to be the same thickness when they come out the other side of the joint. The planer will guarantee parallel faces, uniform thickness.
Awesome.
Two
And
different applications.
while we're talking about the planer, Butch has a question. He has a DeWalt 12.5 planer, and he has trouble planing a board without taking a bite at the end. Also, he says there's a small dial at the bottom on the in-feed side, and there is no reference to it in the owner manual. Do you happen to know what that is?
You have the planer.
I'm heading there right now.
I'm going to grab a light.
And while George is doing that, I'm just going to remind everybody to go to our Facebook page. We have a drawing to win a sprayer. And, you know, also follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. And then, real quick, we have a lot of questions about videos and people looking for articles. So I'm just going to say one of the things you can do, because there's so many, is just go to WWGOA.com and search that. And there's a search function. We've got a lot of questions like, is there an article on this? Is there a video on that? So I think
our search window is not hidden, but it's like the best kept secret on the website. WWGOA.com toward the upper right hand corner, relative to all the other graphics on the page, it's very small, but there is a little white window in there, and we have cross-indexed in a variety of ways the thousands of pieces of content on the website. So if you just type in mortise, dado, safety, drill press, lathe, you'll get all the hits that you can get. Here we're looking at a DeWalt planer. So it happens to be the same brand as
Butch,
thank you. So Butch, what some planers have and some don't, I think you tilt up just a little bit for a second, Krista, because I want them to see this lever right here. Benchtop planers are notorious for sniping, and what actually happens is when the material goes in and it gets under the in-feed roller, the head tilts up just a little bit, kind of microscopically, and then the wood continues to feed, and because the head tilted up a little bit, the planer overcuts and snipes at the beginning of the cut. When the material gets under the second roller, so now both rollers are in contact, the head levels out and makes a uniform cut, and then just the opposite happens at the back end. It exits the front roller first, the head rocks down, that causes a snipe, and it exits the planer. If your planer has a snipe block, like this one does, you should use it. The other thing we can do preemptively, you've got to make sure that your in-feed and out-feed tables have been leveled. Commonly, there are jack screws under here, and that's, good job on the camera, Krista. That's these bolts under here. You've got to take the time to mess with those bolts. They'll bear up against the bottom of the table so that when the table is in a down position, this is perfectly in line with the table here, as well as on the out-feed side. If you do all of that stuff and you're still getting snipes, which sometimes happens, then rather than leaving the boards too long and cutting the ends off, which some people prescribe, my preferred method is to feed a sacrificial board in front of and behind my target board. So what's happening is you're then sniping the sacrificial board instead of your board. And if the board you're plating is long, a lot of times you can get away with the same board being the sacrificial board at both ends. On this dial thing, I'm going to have, you know what, you stay there. This is a portal plate. And then the reason I brought a light is because I think that's going to be, if you tilt down a little, you're in exactly the right spot. Because we want to look at the...
Oh, that's dial. Okay, I can get right on that.
And I think this is what he's talking about. This is fairly common on benchtop planers. What this does is it's a little bit like the turret on a plunge router. 0, 3/4, half, 1/4. Let's go to 3/4, and then I'm going to go down. And right there, when I'm up on top here out of the frame, I'm turning the handle, and that's okay. And what happens is it gets to a point where it just stops. And it's stopping at 3/4. The benefit to that is that if I want to plane a lot of material to that exact thickness, but I have to raise and lower the head, I'm doing multiple pieces, I'm coming and going from the planer, I can use 3/4 or quarter or half as a stop so that every time I get to that point, the material is exactly the same thickness. So think of it like a turret on a plunge router. It's going to help you get really uniform material in or thickness in your material.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, George. So Paul wants to know, what is the simplest way to clean sandpaper that is gummed up from wood resin and still has grit left to it?
Let's go this way. And we'll do this little drum sander right here. And if you can go, yeah, right on that drum, it's perfect. There's a piece of cherry laying here, and that'll be good because cherry is a little bit resiny. So let's sand first.
George, we got nothing.
Okay, that's good because my voice is kind of starting to crack up out here.
Oh, so it wasn't the internet.
Yeah. I'm trying to get sawdust to stick. I'm not getting softer wood. Have a look. All right, we can see a band of sawdust right there, and here's what happens. Your abrasive, nice shot on the camera, your abrasive is a bunch of peaks and valleys, and the sawdust is now filled in the valleys. The abrasive itself could be plenty sharp, but if we don't have voids, if we don't have valleys, the abrasive can't cut. This thing, which is always laying by my sanders, this is an abrasive cleaning stick. You can get these from Woodworking specialty stores. You can get them from some home centers, not necessarily every home center, but if you Google abrasive cleaning stick, you'll find these. They're made out of crepe, like a crepe sole shoe. It's an eraser for sandpaper. So come in again if you wish so they can really see that bad spot, because this will go pretty fast. It really does a nice job of getting the junk out of the sandpaper. The cleaning sticks are way cheaper than abrasive, so there's no such thing as using this too much. It's better to use it frequently. If we wait too long and the sawdust and resin builds up in there, and then we start to get friction, we're going to get heat, and it'll bond in there to a point where no matter how much of this I do, I can't get it out. So you got to use this quite often.
Okay. I'm not sure if we'll have time for this question from Leon, but he wants to know, what is the secret to recessing screw holes and then filling and sanding to show nothing? Is it the filler or the finishing or the sanding?
I'm going to make you do a big move to the drill press, and I'm going to grab this piece of cherry.
And while we're doing that, can you answer a question while we go over there? So Katie recently built a deck from cedar wood. And after the Minnesota summer, some of the wood, especially near the end grain, has turned black and gray. Should she have treated it before she put it on?
Built it from cedar.
Yeah, a deck.
Well, did you not? So did you leave it completely unsealed, Katie? Because I think when cedar's outside, if you don't do anything, then it's going to get icky. It's going to turn color. So yes, if you want it to stay cedary looking, with my Adirondack chairs and planters and that kind of stuff, I just put a clear coat like Thompson's water seal on there, and that protects them from discoloring like that. So to go to Leon's question, what's the answer with filling? And the answer is don't fill. I've got in the drill press, so now if you can come down there, you go. This is called a plug cutter. And you have to do this work on a drill press. You can't do it with a handheld drill. The work being, whatever material you're building your project from, you need a piece of scrap. And that's doing this. What it's cutting is a plug, hence the name plug cutter. And what we would do with this then is, if we went to a bandsaw, that's the best way to do this, and cut this right about here, whoops, cut it right about here, those plugs would pop out, but I think if I do this, there we go, I can get it to come out. What's cool with a plug cutter is that it's actually cutting a tapered plug. This is a 3/8 plug. So when I'm going to put the screw in, what I need to do is countersink it in deeply enough using a 3/8 drill bit that there's room for this plug to go over the top of it. That gets glued in. The plug is going to stand a little bit proud. After the glue is dry, cut it off flush, sand it. If you're careful, this can become nearly invisible. Careful meaning the wood that I choose to cut the plugs from should have a color and a grain pattern that's as similar as possible to what's in your project. The grain on this piece is going this way, which means the grain on that plug is going this way. So when I put that plug in, I want the grain in the plug to be parallel to the grain in the project. And that'll do a really good job of making screws nearly invisible, way more better than trying to fill it with filler.
Awesome.
And plug cutters are not a home center thing. That's a Woodworking specialty store, or look online and you'll find them.
All right, great, thank you. We just have a couple minutes, so I'm going to try and get a couple quick, what I hope are quick questions. Jay would like to know CNC machines. He's considering buying one. Do you have any recommendations? And he is a Macintosh computer user.
Well, that part's unfortunate. Yeah, you know, I'm a PC guy. It's okay to make jokes. We've got a bunch of videos upcoming on CNC machines. So we're going to do, you know, it's not a shootout, it's not a tool test, but we're going to have a bunch of educational stuff coming your way in the next couple of months on CNC machines using 3 different brands of machines. So I would keep watching for that. And like I said, we're not doing a tool test of them, so that's not my approach to it. My approach is going to be to help educate people about what benefits these could bring to your shop if you're interested in them. But from watching that work, you're going to get a good feel for using the software that it takes to design the machines and then run the machines themselves. Mac versus PC, I don't know yet. I have a shop on in the shop so far. Let's see, the one machine that's here right now. I'm doing my designing on a PC on Vectric software. I honestly don't know if the software is Mac and PC compatible or if it's only PC compatible. It's just that I happen to own a PC. But I'm sure one quick look at the shop on the website will tell you that. So basically out of that, stay tuned for more information over the next couple of months on CNC machines.
Okay.
CNC.
All right, so I'm going to ask one more question. So we have a viewer here, and he wants to know if there is a truly clear polyurethane that can be sprayed over white wood. I'm assuming to preserve the white color.
Well, the complaint with a lot of water-based stuff is that it's really clear and doesn't impart that amber tone that we're used to seeing from shellac and lacquer and polyurethane. So I would say, and water-based stuff, I've been using sprays like a dream. So I would say if you really want crystal clarity and not introducing that amber tone to an otherwise white surface, I would try a water-based product.
Okay.
I think that'll do it.
Great, thank you, George. So it looks like we're kind of down now. It's 8 o'clock. Again, just a reminder that we have this promotion going on the Woodworkers Facebook page. Go to Facebook, go to WWGOA on Facebook, and we're giving away a sprayer. Erlex sprayer. Make sure you follow us. Like us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. I maybe did that backwards. It's okay. Sign up for the newsletter if you don't already get it. Let's see, we're going to do this again next month. And sorry, yeah.
We're going to make a promise.
Yeah. We're going to do it again next month. And then we want to thank you for hanging out with us with the sound stuff, and we'll try and get the cable fixed or whatever.
If we have any Sioux Falls residents, I'm going to be teaching in Sioux Falls, South Dakota not this coming weekend, but a week from now, Stand Houston, Tools and Equipment in Sioux Falls. Be there for 2 days, 2 sessions a day for 2 days. That's a great store. And then the other thing I just wanted to ask is that people weigh in on from where they're watching, just because it's interesting to you.
Yeah, I got some in here. Just a second. Let me see if I can find them. Got to like scroll through all the stuff. Yeah, we got California, New York, Barbados.
Barbados, that's a new one.
Yeah, Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'm so glad that we were able to start right at 7 o'clock. Again, thanks to Chris for running the camera and standing behind you for all the line seat stuff. And I think Krista is ready to close us up.
Yeah, so you want to say like make chips or whatever you say?
Oh, yeah. Make chips. See ya.
Bye.